Yes, happy Independence Week, 4th of July in a few days, and luckily for you, it's only Monday. You got over the rest of the week almost with Prater in the ball game, and we're going to kill it for this final hour on a Monday. Prater, so far so good. Let's turn it up a little. What do you say, partner?
Let's do it, buddy. Let's do it.
Double Tap Pub Hotline. We are joined by the father of Boise State quarterback Malachi Nelson. We met this dude at the spring game, Prater. We both fell in love. It was an instant connection. We've been waiting for the right time to bring Eric Nelson on the program, and it fit today. Eric Nelson, for the first time ever, my friend, welcome to Idaho Sports Talk. How's this feel?
You know, it kind of feels surreal. I've always heard I have a face for radio, so this is actually kind of fitting.
Well, Eric, we appreciate you coming on. Can't wait to catch up. And I'm just going to start it all, the summer of Malachi. What's all on your son's plate right now, where his focus is? I mean, you know it, Eric. Summers fly by.
They really do. And I think obviously as a college athlete, they really fly by. And, Malachi's at a unique stage and phase in his life where he's got dreams and goals and plans. And, really summers and, the normal summer life isn't one of those things. So obviously made a big move in January, and he's been laser focused. Obviously to pick up and to leave the comforts of home and everything he knew, he had to be focused with a mission and a goal. And that was to, be a Boise State Bronco and to continue the long legacy and history and to win championships. And that's what summer's about.
You can watch this segment. It's our Dollar Loan Center video segment. It's airing right now on the KTIK YouTube channel. Go ahead and give us a subscription on that if you would. And Eric Nelson, father of Malachi Nelson. Another quick one, and we talk about this a lot, just how much we saw Malachi improve with our own eyes throughout spring ball. Day one to the spring game where I thought he lit the blue on fire. Eric, how much did you think your son Malachi improved during spring practice here at BSU?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, I didn't get a chance to see a lot of it, but just knowing his journey that a lot of people don't. He, for the first time in January, was healthy for maybe the first time in 2 to 3 years. So, his journey, I think from the outside looking in, we see, the stars, the accolades, those types of things. But nobody knew he tore his labrum his junior year in high school, and he wanted to be a team guy. He wanted to be present, win championships with his guys. And so he didn't do surgery because he knew it was going to be a 7 to 8 month recovery. And he knew that he would miss time with his guys and, things and dreams that they had as high schoolers. You can't get those things back. So from a training perspective, from a lifting, from a eating, from all those things that, he was doing his freshman and sophomore year, getting bigger, stronger, faster, he wasn't able to do. And so getting to USC, having the surgery, then the recovery, you're talking about a kid, maybe as gifted and as talented as he is, he hasn't even gotten close to the potential that I've seen him play at and the level that he knows that he can play at. So, it doesn't surprise me that he, didn't look that great to practice one. He would call me and say, Dad, I haven't been under a center in 10 years. I had, everything that the terminology, and the air raid West Coast style of offense, there's tons of flexibility. In this offense, there's not. And so, he was being stretched. He was learning and growing. And so I know his ceiling is a 10, and I know he's nowhere near operating that day one. And I think as the season goes on, as, the off season, spring, we're just going to continue to see a kid who puts in the work, and hard work pays off. And I think we're all going to see it.
He's Eric Nelson. He's the father of Boise State new quarterback Malachi Nelson. It's July 1st, and in about 4 weeks and a couple of days, all eyes will turn to fall camp, where the number one storyline will be the quarterback, Malachi Nelson versus Maddox Madsen, and how that's going to turn out as Boise State tries to chase a CFP invite this year. All right, you talked about the journey, Eric, and the stories have been told, but I don't think we've ever heard it from your mouth, or at least I haven't. What do we need to know about Malachi Nelson, you and your family, and how he ended up in Boise in January?
Well, I think the first thing that probably people are surprised by, just, maybe from the outside, I mean, we are, very humble, kind of quiet to ourselves type of people. I'm a senior pastor at a church. And so, I was in the military. And so everything that kind of shaped me, whether it's our faith, whether it's our hard work, none of this stuff just happened, right? It's easy to see all the glitz and glam that Malachi had accomplished at an early age. And that stuff doesn't come. If it was easy, everybody would do it. And so, we've worked and grinded, and God's blessed us with everything that, that we have. And so the first thing is we work, we work and we work. And, we always tell them, almost every phone call before I get off the phone, I say, buddy, everything you want is on the other side of hard. Everything you want. And so you want to be the starting quarterback for Boise State. You want to get to college football. You want to shock the world and win a national championship. Everything you want's on the other side of hard. And so just encouraging him, not anything else except to work hard, because no matter what happens, you work hard, it's going to be good, And so, yeah, that's a little about us. We got, my own wife been married 22 years. We got Malachi's our oldest. What a good example. He does everything right. He's not perfect by no means, but he's going to get the grades. He's going to not smoke or joke or drink, not do anything stupid. He's going to be a good kid, a dependable kid, kind of a trustworthy guy, which is a good example for his brother, who is, a 6'4" wide receiver, 3-star sophomore, who's going to be up in Boise soon. They've offered him, and, he's fallen in love with, with what they're building and kind of that blue collar. It really fits us. And it really is cool because people wouldn't expect it. So got a daughter, she's 12, just a sweet little girl. But the Boise thing, I mean, it really fits. People from the outside, they think, oh, it doesn't make sense. Why would he do this? Why would he do that? Because it fit on so many levels. Everything I just told you, our faith. You can talk to Coach Spencer Danielson for 1 minute and you can realize, wow, there's a fit there. You know what I mean? Like, wow, that's really cool. Jesus is the most important thing in both of our lives. And to have a man who can coach some football and pour into my son and have the same values and faith, wow, that's an amazing thing. And then the blue collar. We know for Malachi to get where he wants to go, man, he's going to have to work. He's going to have to bust his butt. And so to really get into a program that's their emphasis, and then at the same time, understand where Malachi was at. Malachi has had the, and again, we don't shy away from it. He's had the weight of the world on his shoulder for a long time. Sophomore year, Gatorade Player of the Year, senior Gatorade Player of the Year, 5, all that stuff, right? That kind of, not that it weighs on a kid, but that's just the reality of where he is. So to understand a really good feel of where Malachi was at in his development, to understand that Malachi's potential is a 10, but he's not near there yet. And so a place where he can come and develop and really, help achieve his dreams and his goals. So, once those 3 boxes started checking on a quick phone call, we were on the flight the next day. I mean, it was literally 12th hour, happened so quick. You want me to give you a little details on how we ended up there?
Yeah.
Okay. So Coach Bush, and we've known Bush since, Malachi was in middle school. We kind of had a feeling that Malachi was pretty good at football pretty early. And so we always wanted to push him, try to get him. So we were taking him to college camps as a middle schooler, just to compete against other high schoolers, see where he's at, see where he needs to be. And one of the camps we went to was a Washington camp where Coach Bush was there. And, we met. He got hot that day, and they kind of started talking to him. And it was kind of the funny thing. We're like, oh, what grade are you in? He's like, I'm a 7th grader. I was like, wait, what? It's like, what do you need? You just lit this camp up. So this is one of those days he got hot, and obviously something like that happens. You stay close with Bush, and we did. And Bush was in our lives, from afar. Malachi commits to Oklahoma. Bush texts, reach out. Malachi, they had conversations. So just a really good guy, and just a neat, intentional coach. And so when Malachi hit the portal, there was, the big boys started swimming around and this, that, and the other. But Bush called and just said, hey, man, I just want to be part of the process. We've known each other. What can we do? How can we help you? And, which was great. He's been around the game a long time. And then it went from there to really saying like, hey, I really like some of the things we got going on here. And to be honest, at first, it wasn't on the radar. there was, because we didn't know, right? That we only know what we know, and we didn't know a lot about the culture, about Coach Spencer and the offense and the team and all these different things. We didn't know, and the more we got to know, and we started kind of kicking around our team, started doing some due diligence, kind of looking at, man, all the returning starters and the Mountain West Championship, and kind of really what hit Malachi started, piquing his interest, is shock the world. Like Malachi, he still has this kind of underdog mentality because he hasn't done anything, right? Like he's done nothing.
Yeah.
And so he's like, man, to shock the world and to go and to be a part of something like this would be special. And that's his mentality. He chose the high school that we went to. The year before we got there, they won 3 games. When we left, we were a top 25 team in the country. Public school surrounded by private monsters. Everyone said, why are you going there? We had, private schools calling my wife behind my back saying, your husband is making the biggest decision, the worst decision, allowing your son to go to that school. He needs to be here. And, Malachi just kind of had that blue collar mentality, which was a good fit. So all those things, we still had some visits scheduled. Okay. We had some big boys that we were going to go visit, go talk to, some that he would be able to compete right away, some that we knew he would be a backup for a year. And so it was, we had those schedules going already for the following week. I'll never forget, it was a Thursday. Coach Spencer was talking to a member of our team who just helped us out tremendously. Just amazing. And all of a sudden, we're like, you got to get on the phone with this guy. It was the first time we got on the call with Coach Spencer. We were dealing with Bush. And once we got on the call with Coach Spencer, he asked me real quick, Eric, what are you guys about? And we told him. He's like, wow, okay, cool. I got to get on the phone with Malachi. Obviously there was a fit. The faith, the hard work, the humility, who Malachi is. And then he got on the phone with Malachi and asked some questions no other coach has ever asked him before. Like, who are you as a person? What are your pillars? And like I said, I'm just a really giving person, and I love to give, and I love to, they just started connecting on really cool ways. And we were on a 3-way call. And at this point, as much as we've known Bush, as long as we've known Bush, Malachi had no intention on going to Boise on a visit.
Yeah.
We were still working through it, and it was good. One 30-minute phone call, Malachi and Coach Danielson. He said, hey, man, you need to get up here. And Malachi said, okay, Coach, when do you want me up there? He said, we'll get you on a plane tomorrow, Malachi. I said, okay, I'll be there. And we were there for a couple of days, and Malachi said, this is it. Like everything, so the only getting on the plane, the only thing he wanted to see was, he wanted to see, obviously he's been in SoCal his whole life. He wanted, like, how cold is this, right? Like I've never, it's always, sunny and 75. Like, how cold is it? How small of a town is it coming from LA and California? Like, in your mind as a kid, he probably thought there was tumbleweeds going down the road or something, But once we got there, he's like, man, this isn't cold. He saw snow fall for the first time from the sky. And he said, this isn't that bad. Like, this isn't cold. I can do this. And he looked around. He's like, this is a nice place. Like, people are great. And, the facility, the staff. He said, man, this is, when he got on the plane, he already knew from a football perspective, the opportunity, the team, what they were trying to do, what they were trying to accomplish. And that already kind of resonated with him. He just needed to see, like, can I leave my family? Can I leave everything I know and live in Boise, Idaho? And he said, yeah, Dad, I can do this. I can do this for 2-3 years, however long it takes me to get to the league. So he said, that's it. I'm in.
Malachi Nelson, his father, Eric Nelson, and the journey from California to Boise. It's been about a 6-month journey. We have yet to meet Malachi. Boise State's media policies are still kicking in, and that's perfectly okay because it gives kids like yours a chance to acclimate. I do want to ask you one question because it seems like, and when we talked to you on the spring game, you mentioned this. It seems like that he's a little bit of an introvert. He's a quiet kind of guy. That's a good quality to have in life. But in football, how do you coach him, and how does he come out of his shell? Is it with the confidence? Is it with gaining that confidence within the program and maybe what we saw those last couple of weeks? But Malachi Nelson, is he an introvert, and what kind of personality is he?
Yeah, so I think from the outside looking in, he's clearly an introvert. He's not a guy, who's, but he's what I would call an extroverted introvert. Once you get to know him, he's just not he's not like a beat my chest out. He's not a Baker Mayfield. He's not going to walk in the room and everybody knows he's there. And that goes back to his upbringing. He's a humble kid, but people expect him to act a certain way because of who he is. And I always say, buddy, you can only be who you are. But if you talk to him, he loves one-on-one. He's very articulate. He's great at the interview. He can talk. He one-on-one. And I think in the locker room, those are his guys. Those are his teammates. Those are, they're gonna have relationships. He's called me. He's had the lineman over to his house. He does those types of things. But from a football player, he's liked. They have the same team behind them as Jalen Hurts. So he's a Jalen Hurts type of a guy. He's gonna be prepared. He's gonna know his job. He's gonna know everybody else's job, and the confidence that he's gonna instill, and the rest of the guys around him and the team and the coaches isn't gonna be a bravado beat my chest. It's gonna be he's worked through it. He plays with his mind, not with his heart. Well, and so once he knows what to do, then the name on the back of his jersey takes over, and then there's a certain amount of confidence in his game where he's going to attempt throws that other guys won't even think about. It's just the reality, But he has to learn, and so his learning curve, because he wants to know it so bad, it takes some time, and you got to see a little bit at the spring. Once he has an idea of what to do, it's a dangerous place.
Oh, I thought I thought he lit up the spring game there. Eric Nelson with us. I cannot wait to get Malachi on the blue. Fall camp right around the corner. Father of Malachi, Eric Nelson with us. And, Eric, I got to ask you, we found out he's living in Meridian. Most Broncos live in Boise. They live fairly close to campus. What factors went into your family decision to have Malachi live out in Meridian? Why?
It's so funny. Like he just, he's like, it's 30 minutes from the campus. And, I think that'll tell you, a little bit about who he is. I know he had some guys over at his house for the tank fight. I'm like, why'd you get this place? There's rooms. He's like, well, when you guys come over, you guys can stay here. I'm like, why don't you get some roommates? He's like, Dad, nobody wants to live in Meridian. I'm 30 minutes away from the campus. I'm like, why do you want to live out here? The game of football is loud. Malachi, his whole life has been loud for a very long time. He picked up an SEC offer in the 8th grade. In 1 week he got Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. He just he enjoys being, at family dinners, being quiet. That's just his listening to music and just having peace. When we were with Coach Danielson, he said, Coach, you're going to know where I am every Friday and Saturday. I ain't going to be out in the bars. I'm not going to be out. He goes, so I need to, I really want to live in a nice house. And that's not because I need a nice house, but that's where I spend most of my time. When I'm not in the gym, when I'm not lifting, when I'm not in a restaurant. So his things are, he loves to eat. He loves to go out and have nice dinners and eat well and just go back to his home, relax. And I think that's almost his recovery. But yeah, I thought the same thing. I'm like, bro, why don't you live, here or here? And when I tell you it's in Meridian, it's like, we went out there for the spring game. It was so funny because it's not, you can't even pull up his address on maps.
What?
It's a new development. Yeah, you can't. It's so new. He was the first one to live there. I'm like, how did you find this? Like, what in the world? He's like, I don't know. So he likes being low key, which is so funny because, he dresses a little flashy, he has a little sense of style, but really he's just a low key, quiet kid.
What about this fall then? Because it's about to not be low key and quiet for him. He's about to compete for one of the most high profile jobs in this entire state. And it's going to be a battle. And I know you've got this grounded mindset and the whole family has in terms of go out, compete, and if you can win this battle, more power to you. You're here not so much for one weekend in August, but you're here for the 2 or 3 or 4 year grind. But what are his expectations for August? Does he want to start game one? Is he a patient guy? Kind of walk us through his mindset of what he might be thinking in August.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, the move that Malachi made, the decision and the direction that he made back in early January was all predicated on him going, first and foremost, being a part of this Boise State team that has an opportunity to do something special and to be a part of that, right? And I think in his mind, to be a part of that, he believes and he wants and he has a strong desire that his part, that he believes that he can lead this team to the college football playoffs, that he can lead it. That my part, I believe, is to help these guys win championships. And so I think, deep down inside, he wants to be a Boise Bronco. He wants to come. He wants to compete. There was schools on every corner that said, come and be our guy. He knew what he was getting himself into, and he just really loved the idea and the David Goliath thing. So, to answer your question, I think we'd be lying, and any quarterback on the roster would be lying if they didn't say he didn't want to start. Malachi wants to be QB1, and I believe that there's 5 or 6 quarterbacks in that room that all want to be QB1, and that's the neat thing about football. So, yeah, he wants to start game 1, and he's going to do everything he can to put himself in a position not only be QB1, but to help lead this team and to win championships. Boise they got the best fans in the world because they expect to win every single football game. He loves that, and he wants to help that. He wants to lean into that. And so, yeah, that's the gist for him. If he loses, we don't necessarily talk about that because he's part of a team. He knows the rules, he knows the game, he knows the position that he plays. There's one guy who plays, and so we don't talk about that. We just talk about doing everything that you can to put yourself in a position to win the game. The cool thing is, the guy he's competing against is just a class act, great guy. There's no hostility, no tension, those types of things. You know what I mean? So it's, Mad Dog is just a great young man. They're going to push each other. They're going to be they're going to be better because of it,
Yep. Hey, Eric, we're running out of time, but I did want to follow up on something you said. So there's a little bit of a clarification here. You talked about your younger son. And when we met you at the spring game over at the James, you pointed at your son and said, he might be the better recruit, high school kid, wide receiver, great looking kid with a bright future. You mentioned something about his contact with Boise State and he has plans. Is he planning on, and at this point, without the official paperwork, are you guys planning on sending him here to play football at Boise State with his brother?
Oh, 100%. That's the plan, right? He's still young. He's still coming into his own. But I think he really hit it off with Coach Matt. I think, Jude, now my younger son is the complete opposite of Malachi. He is a beat my chest guy. He plays with his heart. He walks in a room, you're going to know it. He's just an amazing kid with an amazing personality, great sense of humor. It was so funny. We were there for the spring game, walking the visits. He walked in, we were talking to Coach Matt. Malachi went, they were going over some stuff before the game. Malachi goes and grabs Jude, pulls him into the quarterback room with Coach Cutter. And you heard the whole room just start erupting with laughter. Jude he's that guy.
Yeah.
And, they walked by, Cutter walked by, and he said, man, I like this guy more than Malachi. Like, he's just a special kid. He's got the juice, man. He's a heck of a football player too. So, obviously Malachi's goal, would be, he's not going to leave until the job's finished. And, he's got some goals for this team. He wants to win championships, not just Mountain West. He wants to do that. He's league eligible in 2 years. That's obviously a goal of his, is to play football professionally and make it to the NFL. And so, Malachi is going to be in Boise minimum 2 years. And, that'll be right at the time that he graduates, that Jude graduates. He's a rising junior. So, they'll both be playing 2 years. So if Malachi, has some unfinished business on the blue, they want to run it back 1 year, his stock isn't what he likes for whatever reason, I think it's a no-brainer. If Malachi does 3 years at Boise, it's a no-brainer that his brother comes out and catches some footballs from him.
Well, Eric, why don't you just reclassify the kid? Let's get him here a year earlier. Come on, man. We can work on this. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No. That's not a bad option either. Jude is, we've absolutely, anything's on the table. Jude is really kind of sprouted up. He's walking around at 6'4", 205 right now. And I think Jude's going to be a tight end at the next level right now. He's playing outside.
Okay.
He's playing an X or a Z depending. And so it's been really helpful for him because, we know he's going to be a monster. So for him going against these corners and the footwork and the skill set that he needs to be able to, play receiver, when he slides down to the Y position, I mean, it's going to be lights out. I mean, Alabama receiver coach was at our school a couple of weeks ago, said you're going to be, once you slide down the wide, you're going to be the biggest recruit in the country at your position. Just because he has the size and he has the foot, because he's been playing 2 years at X and Z. So he moves like a receiver, with his footwork, and then he's got the size of a tight end. So really like the job that the coaches have done for him in high school, just really not putting him at the tight end when he's not a tight end, allowing him to kind of grow into that position.
Well, let's get him to Boise. Eric Nelson, this is exactly why we wanted to bring you on Idaho Sports Talk. We got everything out of this interview and more, and be in touch. Next time you come up to Boise, hit Prater and myself up. Maybe we'll take you out and buy you a steak dinner or something, Eric. Appreciate you coming on.
I'll definitely hit you up if it's not a maybe. I eat dinner every day. So if we can lock that in, that phone call's locked in, man.
Let's lock it in. All right, Eric, you let us know when you're coming up to town, and hopefully first of many occasions here on Idaho Sports Talk. Appreciate you, bud.
I'm currently looking at some kid with, I think he's a quarterback at Boise State, man. He just pulled up to my office. So I'm going to go talk to this guy a little bit. All
right. Sounds like Malachi's getting ready to see his dad. Eric, you're the best, man. Appreciate you, bud.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And just want to say thank you to you guys, the media, the fans. I mean, I know, a California kid coming to Boise, you guys got something special over there, and you guys have welcomed us with warm intentions and a lot of love. So appreciate you guys, and thankful to be a part of Boise State.
Great stuff. Eric Nelson, that's why you listen to Idaho Sports Talk. Plenty to unpack there. Let's do that on KTIK The Ticket.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Studios, this is Ticket Traffic.
Report is brought to you